Am I the asshole for wanting to divorce my husband 35 male because I do not like his parents? Hi everyone, this is my throwaway, so apologize if I reply late. Also, English is not my first language. I 40 female met my husband 10 years ago. We got married 4 years ago with 2 kids, 4 and 1.5. Edited to add our nationality as a few think we are Indians. I am Southeast Asian and my husband is European. Overall, we get along well and we barely have arguments. We traveled to over 30 countries together and we enjoyed it. However, I have been wanting to get divorced for at least a year now. Back in February I told him I'd like a separation and he was very upset. He said it is the worst thing anyone did to him and he said I fucked up his life and he will never forgive me. We made up. I went on holidays with the kids for 2 months without him and just yesterday we had a big argument again over this. He said the reason I want to get divorced is stupid. That he does not understand why I see it as a big problem. Meanwhile, the reason I want to get divorced is because he does not think that my reason for wanting a divorce makes sense. A bit about his parents: they are divorced. His father has disability and some mental illness, depression. He is in a good financial due to the country's healthcare policies, lots of help and funding to support him, plus weekly expenses. His mum lives alone. She is in a very bad position financial wise. There are long lists of why I do not like them, but I will list a few incidents so you get some ideas. 1. Before I gave birth to my first son, his dad was in a care home and his house was completely abandoned. My husband thought it would be a good idea if we offered to renovate his dad's house and cleaned it up and lived in the house without paying rent, since the house had no one to live in anyway. His dad agreed. So we moved in and spent a lot of times cleaning and making the house nice again. Then 6 months after I gave birth, his dad wanted to move back to the house to be with the grandson. No big deal with that because beggars can't be chooser. However, his dad started to make demands and got upset with almost anything. One incident is he once got mad at me when I went out to the mall because I did not ask him if he wanted juice from his favorite juice shop, so I apologized. Next time I went to the mall I bought juice for him and he got mad at me because he felt like I pressured him to drink juice when he did not want it. Another one is he got mad at me that I went out to the market without asking him what he wanted. I apologized and next time I went I asked him and he asked me to video call so he could have a look around. When I came back home he got mad because the market was too loud and there were too many people, he couldn't see what he wanted and he said I made him stressed. It got worse and worse with his demand. One day he sent us list of what we must do to be able to continue staying in the house. Something like 7 a.m. open his room to check if he is still alive without waking him up. 8 a.m. opened the door to his room and said good morning. 8:30 a.m. got into his room and made him tea. Mind you, my son was 6 months then, so I barely got some sleep. I explained it to him that would mean I wouldn't be able to have a proper sleep, but he did not care. In the end my husband offered to do it before he went to work. One day he kicked us out with no notice because we refused to talk to him after he got too upset with his requests. Our son had a high fiver that day and we told him we would rather not have argument because we were very exhausted. So he kicked us out too. This is just after I gave birth to my first son. This is during the first wave of COVID. My husband and his sister, 38 female, decided that they wanted their mom to quit her job and move to live with me and my husband. So she did not. The first day she got to our house she saw my son 2 weeks old and crying, and I was trying to get him to stop crying by breastfeeding him. She said that maybe I should stop having dairy because she read that dairy made baby crying. When my husband told him that we would rather consult medical professional and that baby will cry, she got upset, got drunk and sent us messages. 3. Another incident with my mother-in-law. I was on my maternity leave. My husband was working from home. COVID lockdown. My eldest was around a month old. I wanted to go to bathroom but my eldest was on my lap. I went and asked if my husband could have my eldest just for while I was in the bathroom. His mom overheard and came and took my son away from my husband and said to me, you should not ask your husband for help while he is working. He is the only one with the income and you don't. That offended me and I was upset. When confronting her she said she never said it even though both my husband and I heard it. 4. The worst one with my mother-in-law. I was breastfeeding my son in my bedroom and he was crying. My mother-in-law was drinking and was drunk. She broke into the bedroom and snatched my son away from my breast, and then yelled, your breast milk is toxic, it's full of chemical. I cannot stand this anymore. My son cried even louder and that was when I lose it. I demanded her to give me my son back and apologized. She did not and she insisted on saying that I poisoned my son with chemical in my breast milk. She thinks that dairy and sugar made babies crying, even though doctor, midwife and pediatrician told her and us that it is not true. In the end she left the house. 5. Well, after we left his dad's house and found a new place, life was good again, and then another lockdown hit. His mom got kicked out from her flat because she slept with her flatmate. My husband asked me to let his mom coming to live with us again. He said if I do not then he would be very sad and upset. I did not want to upset him, so I said yes. Before she moved in, my husband asked me to throw away and hide all my snacks and candies because his mom did not want to see it. He also told me if I want to eat takeaway I have to do outside the house because his mom is poor and she feels uncomfortable seeing the lifestyle that we have. During the lockdown, the rules is that you can have friends visit no longer than 30 minutes. My friends came visiting me and oftentimes my mother-in-law would stand by the window staring at us counting the times. She often said she thought I would give us COVID. Well, when it's her turn she booked a meetup trip illegal with strangers. She said it was for her mental health and she only canceled after they received a lot of backlash. When my husband wanted to meet up with his friends for over 30 minutes she encouraged it and said it's for mental health. 6. You think after all these arguments my husband will realized maybe it's not the best idea to have his parents living with us? No. When I got pregnant with my second son he asked me if I could let his mom coming to stay with us for 6-9 months. When I said no because I felt like she destroyed my pressure times with my son when he was young, my husband said I have the right to say no, but I must deal with the consequences that he thinks of me as a selfish and self-centered for only caring about my own happiness and not his and his mom. I did not want to upset him, so I said yes again. We had arguments over and over again. But the worst one would be the night I gave birth to my second. I gave birth at 6 a.m. and we called her at 6:30 to ask if everything was alright with her babysitting our eldest. She said they both had been awake since 1 a.m. and she was tipsy because she had been drinking all night. She asked me if we could leave the maternity ward early so she could go back to sleep. She said maybe you should go to the football class with your son at 10 a.m. today so you can spend time with him while I and my husband could spend time with the baby. Anyway, February this year we went back to visit his dad. His dad offered to pay for our flights on condition that we stayed with him. I told my husband that I could take this opportunity to go back and work because I run a business remotely. I offered to pay instead of his dad because my company is big enough to be able to afford the expenses so I could focus on working while my husband spends time with his dad. But he said it was fine. Well, when we got there I went and had a lot of business meetings and I spent time working every day. One reason I also wanted to avoid spending time with my father-in-law. A few days into our holiday my husband got very upset at me and told me I was being unfair for leaving him to babysitting the kids and he was unable to enjoy his holidays because he had to change nappies and fed the kids. I explained to him that we had an agreement and he said he knew but it was still unfair. He said if I was really good at doing my job I should not be able to work at all and let business runs itself. I did not want to upset him, so I cancelled all my meetings to spend time with him. The first day we went to the beach he got mad at me because I did not take good enough photos to show to his dad. Then his dad kicked us out again because he got upset we spent a day with my husband's mom. He said he paid for us to be here so he has all the rights to tell us what to do with our time and we must ask for his approval. Anyway, my last straw was when we planned to go to the swimming pool with just us because the holidays had been too stressful with having to deal with his dad's unstable mood. His mom asked me what our plans were and I told her about the pool and she asked to come. I said yes because I knew if I said no she would get upset. Well, my father-in-law found out and said he wanted to come. Of course, because he paid for the holidays he has the right to tell us whom we can invite. My mother-in-law found out that the father-in-law would come and decided not to come because they dislike each other. My husband then yelled at me for creating drama and caused awkward situation. When I explained to him he said it does not matter, that I should know his father gets upset easily and very unstable. I should always make sure I do not do anything to trigger him. I told him that I have been doing everything I could for the past 4 years to make him happy. I take care of both kids full-time while also working full-time and earn decent income. I told him how much the experiences with his parents affects me a lot mentally and I feel like they both stole my precious times with my kids. He said I always have choices to say no. When I told him I did say no, but every time I said no he would tell me that if I said no to his requests I would make him upset and sad. He told me that that is true and if I say no then I have to deal with the consequences. Therefore, all the things that I have done for him and all the bad experiences are my wrongdoings because I made my own choices. He said I could say no to his mom living with us and if I did I must deal with the consequences that his mom would hate me and I would make him very sad and he will despise me. I love my husband, but I think he is being very unfair to me at the way he deals with how his parents treat me and how he sees the whole things and how he downplays and refuses to acknowledge my feelings. He thinks I am being an asshole for wanting to get divorced and destroy his life just because I care too much about what he thinks. Am I the asshole? Updated 1. I asked him to come up with some proposal on how he thinks he could save the marriage and I will come up WTH mine. I told him I need to see some changes in the relationship and he said he is not changing anything. He said he thinks I do not love him because if I do I would not want to divorce him. He said I often bring up the issue of divorce only when I am angry. True. But the reason why I did not bring up when I am not angry is because I absolutely love him and he is perfect in every way except how he handles his parents' issues. I am perfectly fine doing all the house chores and sacrificing my social life and career for the family, especially that he earns much more than I do. So I told him that if he does not want to change then there is no future for the marriage, and he told me that it is up to me and it is my choice and I have to deal with the consequences. His choice is he wants me to stay, but also he will not change or he will not acknowledge why I am very upset and hurt by what happened in the past 4 years. So I guess divorce it is. I have asked him if we could move to Australia or New Zealand where I have my support group and work, but he said no. He said we will see. I think the divorce will be ugly and he will not want to move where it is easy for me to start my life. And because we have kids I have no choice but to be the bad guy to fight for the custody of my kids if worst come to worst. It is going to be hard to actually go with a decision. I am 40 years old. The past 4 years I have made no new friends. I did not go out to meet people. I have been staying at home taking care of the kids. I did not have time to go to the gym or do anything. My self-esteem is low because I have changed so much physically after birth. I hope I have more strength. And it is hard because I am in a country that I know no one, nowhere to go.